Now to a growing mystery, the death of a lifestyle influencer, Ashlee Robinson, better known online as Ashlee Jenae. Just days after popping the question overseas, her fiancé is now being held in Zanzibar by investigators trying to figure out what happened. CBS Weekend News anchor Jerika Duncan spoke with the family and has new details. Jerika.
Yeah, good evening, Tony. Ashlee Robinson was on the vacation of a lifetime. She was in Zanzibar, which is off the coast of Tanzania. She was there celebrating her 31st birthday. Her boyfriend of about a year and a half, Joe McCann, proposed to her on the trip, but last week something went terribly wrong. Police say Robinson was found unconscious in her villa and was rushed to the hospital where she later died. Now, her parents tell me they received a call from McCann, the boyfriend, acknowledging that something had happened, but they say it was the resort where Robinson was staying that notified the family of their daughter.
April 9th, 2026. A hotel worker at one of Zanzibar's most high-end resorts walks toward a private villa. The guest inside had not been seen since the night before. That alone was enough to raise concern. What the worker finds on the other side of that door sets off an international investigation, one that is still active as you watch this. This is the case of Ashlee Jenae Robinson. If you're watching Fatal Vows for the first time, subscribe right now. This case is still developing, and we are covering every new update as it comes out. Her legal name was Ashlee Robinson. Online, she was Ashlee Jenae. She was 31 years old. She lived in Miami, Florida, originally from South Jersey, and she had built a following of over 120,000 people across social media, primarily on Instagram. Through content focused on travel, fashion, and a lifestyle philosophy she openly talked about called soft life divestment. The idea behind it was straightforward. Live with intention. Stop settling. Build a life that actually reflects what you want. She was the oldest of 6 children. By every account from the people closest to her, she was the one who held things together. The kind of person her family described as always smiling, always present, always moving forward. Her father, Harry Robinson, told CBS News directly, "She's always smiling. She loved being in front."
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
It's under investigation, and we don't know what went on.
It's under investigation, and like we said, we just want transparency.
In front of the camera. Her platform was not built on manufactured drama or controversy. She showed up consistently, documented her life honestly, and her audience responded to that. Over 120,000 people were following her story by the time she boarded a flight to Tanzania in early April 2026. That brings us to November 2024. That is when Ashlee began a relationship with Joseph Isaac McCann, a 45-year-old cryptocurrency fund manager and the founder of a firm called Asymmetric Financial. Within months of starting that relationship, Ashlee was traveling internationally with him, appearing at industry events in the crypto world, and sharing the relationship publicly on her platforms. The age gap between them was 15 years. The relationship was approximately 5 months old when this trip to Tanzania began. On April 4th, 2026, Ashlee and McCann checked into the Zuri Zanzibar Resort, a luxury private villa property on the island of Zanzibar, off the coast of Tanzania. The stated purpose of the trip was simple: a 31st birthday celebration for Ashlee. April 5th, one day after they arrived, McCann proposed to Ashlee during a safari outing. She said yes. She posted the moment on Instagram, photos of her on safari, rose petals on the ground spelling out HBD Ashlee, a giraffe in the frame beside her. The caption she wrote read, "Chapter 31, and I'm exactly where I need to be." That was her final Instagram post. She was never seen alive again after April 9th. Now here is what her public post did not show. According to witness statements that were later reported to Zanzibar police investigators, the situation inside that resort was not what it appeared to be on social media. From the moment Ashlee and McCann arrived on April 4th, staff and other guests at the Zuri Zanzibar had already begun observing repeated conflicts between the two of them. Not one disagreement, not an isolated moment of tension. A pattern, consistent enough that it was being noticed and remembered by multiple people inside that resort. Her post showed rose petals and giraffes and a new engagement. What the witnesses inside that resort were observing told a different story. That gap between what was publicly visible and what was privately documented by the people around them, is where this case begins. The investigation into how Ashlee Jenae Robinson died is still open. The full truth about what happened inside that villa has not been made public, and the man who was with her has not said a single word publicly since her body was found. We're going to walk through everything that is confirmed, everything that is documented, and every question that still does not have an answer. To understand what happened in Zanzibar, you first need to understand the man Ashlee Jenae Robinson said yes to. Joseph Isaac McCann, born in Portland, Oregon in 1980. 45 years old at the time of this trip. His academic background was not finance or economics, it was philosophy. He studied at Portland State University, where he focused specifically on logic and on the works of Nietzsche and Schopenhauer. That detail is not incidental. The way McCann would later build his professional identity, calculated, high conviction, always positioning himself as someone who thinks differently than the room, traces directly back to how he was trained to think. His career path covered more ground than most people cover in 2 lifetimes. He started in advertising technology, working as Chief Technology Officer at Mother New York, one of the top creative agencies in the country. From there, he moved into open source software development, founding NodeSource, a company built around Node.js, a software framework that became one of the most widely used development tools in the technology industry. NodeSource was acquired in 2019. After that, McCann took a senior director position at Microsoft, working inside the cloud and AI division, focused on startup acquisitions and new business incubations. Then came Passport Capital, a San Francisco-based hedge fund, where McCann ran quantitative and systematic trading for cryptocurrencies. That role placed him directly at the intersection of institutional finance and digital assets. And it is where his trajectory toward founding his own fund became clear.
By the way, as a software developer of now 26 years, the reason I was looking to buy secondary shares in Cerebras after using the product, and I thought to myself, like, this thing is just unbelievable. And I try to buy a subscription like you do with like a Claude or a Chat GPT. They don't even have any available. Like, they just sold out. Using these products as an engineer, as a technologist, as a product person has made me so much more bullish on.
In 2022, McCann launched Asymmetric Financial. The fund's backing was not modest. Mark Andreessen and Chris Dixon, co-founders of Andreessen Horowitz, one of the most recognized venture capital firms in the world, invested. So did Circle, the company behind a USDC stablecoin, alongside the founders of Solana, Multicoin Capital, and Coin Fund. McCann also founded a separate entity called Asymmetric Information, an AI-driven analytics platform focused on crypto markets. That company was acquired in 2025. His public persona was built to match the scale of that backing. He was a regular speaker at major global crypto conferences. He was aggressive and vocal on X, formerly Twitter, making high-conviction public calls on Solana and macro market positioning. He talked openly about his background as a former DJ, raves promoter, record label co-founder, and clothing brand founder, framing all of it in a 2024 podcast interview as a cultural advantage in an industry where most players came only from finance. He said, on record, "I was the CTO at one of the top ad agencies in New York City. I was a DJ and threw raves and had a couple record labels and my brother and I had a clothing line together." He believed his exposure to what he called the creative side of humanity gave him an edge that pure finance people did not have. For a period, that framing was backed by results. In April 2024, research firm Preachine ranked Asymmetric's Liquid Alpha Fund the #1 hedge fund globally by net performance, across all asset classes, out of tens of thousands of funds worldwide. In 2024 alone, the value of Asymmetric's liquid book grew from approximately $195 million to $395 million, according to a person familiar with the firm's finances who spoke to Fortune. McCann was at the top of his industry. Then things fell apart. By mid-2025, the Liquid Alpha Fund had reversed sharply. The same high-volatility strategy that had driven its rise stopped working when market conditions shifted. By July 2025, the fund was down an estimated 78% year-to-date, meaning nearly $100 million or more in investor capital had been lost. A key founding trader, Chris Zuri, had already quit the firm despite the strong 2024 returns, according to a source who spoke with Zuri directly. When an unhappy limited partner posted the fund's year-to-date losses publicly on X, the fallout became impossible to manage privately. McCann responded by announcing he was shutting down the Liquid Alpha Fund and pivoting to a Solana-based treasury strategy, a model popularized by Michael Saylor's company, Strategy. That pivot collapsed before it launched. Investors were offered the option to exit or roll their capital into a new structure. One former investor confirmed to Fortune that the amount they received when redeeming their capital was less than what they had originally put in. By December 2025, 4 months before the Zanzibar trip, the flagship fund was formally shut down. His financial position, his professional standing, and his relationships with some of the most prominent investors in the technology world were all under strain simultaneously. There is one more piece of his personal history that matters here. McCann had been previously married. He wed Shay Jackson in 2018, a marketing professional who was 10 years younger than him. That marriage ended in divorce. Two founders who received venture investments from Asymmetric told Fortune that during the divorce proceedings, a portion of McCann's ownership stake in the firm was transferred to Jackson as part of the settlement. McCann also has a daughter, which he referenced in his own posts on social media. He began his relationship with Ashlee Jenae Robinson in November 2024. She was 15 years younger than him. Within weeks, he was bringing her to crypto industry events. Within months, she was woven into his public identity, traveling with him, appearing in his world, and incorporating him into her content. The relationship was 5 months old when he proposed to her on a safari in Tanzania on April 5th, 2026. That is the man she said yes to. A man navigating a very public professional collapse, a prior failed marriage, and a 5-month relationship in a remote location, thousands of miles from anyone in Ashlee's family. And according to multiple witnesses who were present at the Zuri Zanzibar Resort from the moment the couple arrived on April 4th, the relationship that looked like a celebration on Instagram looked like something else entirely in person.
Ashlee Robinson was on the vacation of a lifetime. She was in Zanzibar, which is off the coast of Tanzania. She was there celebrating her 31st birthday. Her boyfriend of about a year and a half, Joe McCann, proposed to her on the trip, but last week something went terribly wrong. Police say Robinson was found unconscious in her villa and was rushed to the hospital where she later died.
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
It's under investigation and we don't know what went on.
It's under investigation, and like we said, we just want transparency.
Now today, investigators held a news conference in Tanzania saying they are questioning McCann and that they are holding his passport until the autopsy is complete. We did reach out to McCann for comment, but have not heard back. Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
The trip had been going on for 4 days when the night of April 8th arrived. And by that point, what was happening inside the Zuri Zanzibar Resort was no longer something that could stay between two people. According to Zanzibar police, the conflict between Ashlee and Joe McCann had been building steadily since the moment they arrived. Witness accounts collected by investigators described repeated arguments, ongoing, audible, and noticed by other guests staying at the property. On the night of April 8th, other hotel guests formally alerted staff to what Zanzibar police officially described as a romantic conflict between the couple. That alert triggered a direct response from hotel management. What happened next was not a suggestion. Hotel management separated Ashlee and McCann. McCann was removed from the shared villa and relocated to a separate villa approximately 8 to 10 minutes away on foot. That distance is not incidental. The Zuri Zanzibar is a sprawling private villa property. 8 to 10 minutes of walking distance means McCann was physically moved to a different part of the resort entirely. He did not leave voluntarily. The hotel enforced the separation. This sequence is confirmed in Zanzibar police statements and reported consistently across ABC News, CBS News, and the Associated Press. That same night, April 8th, Ashlee called her mother, Yolanda Denise Indres. The call was not distressed in the way you might expect. Ashlee told her mother about the argument. She confirmed that she and McCann had been separated and placed in different rooms by hotel staff. Yolanda Indres later described this call to WPVI in Philadelphia, and her account is specific. Ashlee was communicating clearly. She was aware of what had happened, and she was in contact with her family from inside that villa. That phone call is one of the most critical data points in this entire case. It establishes with certainty that Ashlee Jenae Robinson was alive, calm, and reachable on the night of April 8th. It places her in direct communication with her family just hours before hotel staff would make a discovery that set off an international investigation. Here is what the timeline shows after that call. Sometime during the overnight hours between April 8th and April 9th, hotel staff at the Zuri Zanzibar grew concerned enough about Ashlee's condition that they conducted a welfare check on her villa. It was a hotel worker, not McCann, who found Ashlee unresponsive inside the room. She was not found immediately upon separation. According to reporting by ABC News, she was found roughly 2 to 3 hours after McCann had been moved to the other villa. Ashlee was transported to a local hospital. She was then transferred to a second hospital. She was pronounced dead on April 9th, 2026. She was 31 years old. She had turned 31 4 days earlier. Medical records that Ashlee's family obtained from the second hospital and later shared with ABC affiliate WPVI in Philadelphia listed the cause of death as cerebral hypoxia resulting from compression of the neck and restricted airflow. No official autopsy results have been publicly released as of the most recent reporting. The findings from those medical records and any formal forensic autopsy results remain two separate pieces of evidence, and the distinction between them matters significantly to the ongoing investigation. Now here is where the timeline becomes something that Ashlee's family has spoken about publicly and on record, and something that investigators in Tanzania are actively examining. On April 9th, McCann called Yolanda Indres. That call was the first contact the family received from him regarding Ashlee's condition. When Indres answered, McCann told her that Ashlee had done something to herself and had been taken to the hospital. He told Indres that Ashlee was stable. She was not stable. She was already at the hospital in a condition that would lead to her being pronounced dead that same day. Indres asked McCann directly, "When did this happen?" His answer, which she confirmed in her CBS News interview using her own words, was that the incident had occurred 11 hours before he made that call. 11 hours. That gap between when Ashlee was found unresponsive and when McCann contacted her family is one of the central questions driving the investigation. What McCann was doing during those 11 hours has not been publicly explained. Why his first account to the family described Ashlee as stable when she was not has not been publicly explained. And after that call, communication from McCann stopped entirely. The next update Ashlee's family received did not come from him. It came from the hotel. Hotel management contacted the family to inform them that Ashlee had died. Her father, Harry Robinson, described this to CBS News directly. He said, "The fiancé did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel. That's devastating when your daughter's halfway around the world. We just wanted to know where she was at, who she was with, and that she was okay. Just give us something." Yolanda Indres told CBS News, "I asked him when it happened and where it happened, and he told me that something had occurred 11 hours prior to when he was reaching out to me. These are not allegations. These are the family's direct, on-record statements, confirmed across CBS News, ABC News, and WPVI Philadelphia. There is one more element of this timeline that the family has identified as critical. The Zuri Zanzibar Resort is a monitored property. Entry points, walkways, and common areas throughout the resort have camera coverage. Harry Robinson pointed to this specifically in his CBS News interview. He said, "There's cameras everywhere at a resort, and that will match the timeline. Just do the investigation and let us know." His point is direct and grounded in fact. If the surveillance system at Zuri Zanzibar captured movement in and around the villas between the time McCann was relocated and the time Ashlee was found unresponsive, that footage would independently verify or directly contradict every account that has been given about those hours. It would show who was where and when. It would close the 11-hour gap with evidence rather than competing statements. As of the most recent reporting, that footage has not been released to the family. It has not been made public. The family is actively working to obtain access to it. Zanzibar's Deputy Director of Investigations, Zuri Zanzibar, declined to comment publicly on the status of the investigation, stating only that the probe is ongoing. Yolanda Andres told 6 ABC Philadelphia, "There is nothing that is confirmed. We don't have anything from the police or law enforcement that states there is a conclusion to anything. It's under investigation, and it's under investigation because it doesn't look right." That is where April 8th and April 9th stand. A phone call, a separation enforced by the hotel, a welfare check carried out by staff, an 11-hour window with no explanation, and a surveillance system that recorded everything. Footage that has not yet been made available to the people who need it most. If you want to know the moment that changes, subscribe to Fatal Vows right now. This case is active, and we are not stepping away from it. On April 13th, 2026, 4 days after Ashlee Jenae Robinson was found unresponsive inside her villa at the Zuri Zanzibar Resort, the North Unguja Regional Police Commander, Benedict Mapudra, made the case public in a formal statement to Tanzanian newspaper Mwananchi, and that statement went international within hours. Mapudra's position was direct. He stated that Ashlee Robinson had died by her own hand inside the wardrobe of her room at the Zuri Zanzibar on April 9th, 2026. He described the sequence as follows. The couple had been staying together, a disagreement occurred, hotel management separated them into different rooms, and Zanzibar Resort staff later alerted the Nungwi police station because they believed a guest was at risk. Robinson was still alive when she was found and transported to hospital. She died on April 10th. Mapudra stated on record that investigators found no immediate indication of criminality at the scene. When asked directly about McCann's legal status, the police commander said, and these are his exact words, "We can't take legal action or detain him under these circumstances." That was the official position of Zanzibar law enforcement as of April 13th. The Deputy Director of Investigations, Zuri Zanzibar, declined to add anything to that statement publicly. He confirmed the investigation was ongoing and refused to comment further. The Zanzibar government's Ministry of Tourism and Heritage released a written statement urging patience, saying, and again, these are their exact words, "We respectfully request continued patience and understanding as law enforcement officials proceed with their investigation, ensuring due process and upholding integrity for all parties concerned." The Zuri Zanzibar Resort issued its own statement saying it was deeply saddened by the incident and was cooperating fully with local authorities and the U.S. Embassy in Tanzania. That is the official version. Now here is where it collides with everything the family knows. Ashlee's family did not accept the ruling quietly, and they were specific about why. In a joint statement released by the Robinson and Indres families in the days following her death, they wrote, "One moment she was celebrating love and life in true Ashlee fashion, and the next she was gone. The suddenness, the unanswered questions, and the distance from home have made this tragedy even more overwhelming for our family." They did not name Joe McCann in that statement. They did not make direct accusations. What they said was that the questions surrounding her death remained open, and that the official conclusion did not reflect everything they knew about their daughter. Yolanda Denise Indres told ABC News, "My daughter Ashlee, she's no longer here with us, and we're trying to find out why." She told WPVI Philadelphia that Ashlee had never, in her words, ever shown any indication that she would harm herself. She was happy, Indres said. She was starting the next chapter of her life. Harry Robinson told CBS News, "Nothing about it makes sense. It just doesn't add up." The family also told TMZ that Ashlee was a beacon of light to everyone around her, that there was nothing in her behavior, her communication, or her state of mind in the days leading up to her death that pointed in the direction of what the police were now claiming. The public response extended beyond the family immediately. PR executive Savannah Britt, who identified herself as a close friend of Ashlee's, was among the first to respond on record. On the day the news broke, Britt posted publicly on X, We need justice for my friend Ashlee Jenae, who was found dead in her hotel in Tanzania, and her fiancé, Joe McCann, claims she hung herself. That post went wide. The case moved from a family crisis to an international story within a matter of hours. Cardi B, one of the most followed voices in American entertainment, weighed in publicly on X, writing, "That girl did not off herself." That post alone accelerated the reach of this case into audiences that had not previously been following it. Public pressure on the investigation began building from multiple directions simultaneously. There is one more detail documented in published reporting that warrants acknowledgement here. IB Times UK reported that at least one of Ashlee's followers had previously attempted to warn her about Joe McCann in the weeks before the trip. The specific content of that warning has not been independently verified, and the source has not been publicly identified. It is unconfirmed, but it is documented as part of the public record of this case, and it is a detail the family's community was tracking closely as the investigation unfolded. Now here is what Joe McCann did in response to all of this. Nothing. Publicly, ABC News reached out to him. CBS News reached out to him. CoinDesk contacted him. Fortune sent direct messages. Not one of those outlets received a reply. His family members were also contacted. They did not respond either. No lawyer representing McCann issued any statement. No spokesperson. No post. No comment. The man at the center of this case has said nothing publicly about the death of the woman he proposed to 4 days before she was found unresponsive in that villa. While McCann stayed silent, Harry Robinson moved. Ashlee's father drove to Washington, D.C. He had no government connections. He had no political relationships. He went because inaction at home was not an option he was willing to accept. His goal was direct. Get U.S. officials to engage with what was happening in Tanzania. That pressure produced a result. The U.S. State Department confirmed publicly that it was monitoring the case. Beyond that, a U.S. forensic presence was sent to Tanzania to observe the autopsy process, meaning that American oversight was now positioned alongside the Tanzanian investigation, watching the same evidence from a separate chain of authority. Two governments, one set of facts, and a family that started a GoFundMe campaign with a goal of $50,000 to cover travel costs, repatriation arrangements, and the expenses of navigating an active investigation from thousands of miles away. As of the most recent reporting, that campaign had raised approximately $42,000. The fundraiser's own description stated the family was navigating an ongoing investigation while trying to bring Ashlee home with dignity and find answers about what happened to her. That is where the two versions of this case stand. The official ruling is on record. The family's rebuttal is on record. The public response is documented. And the autopsy results, which would carry more weight than any statement made by either side, had not been publicly released. The autopsy on Ashlee Janae Robinson was completed on Tuesday, April 15th, 2026. Harry Robinson confirmed this directly to TMZ after his Washington, D.C. effort produced contact between U.S. officials and Tanzanian authorities. The procedure was done. The findings were documented. And as of the most recent reporting on this case, the family still had not been given the results. Harry Robinson told TMZ the family was informed only that the investigation remains ongoing. Nothing more. No cause of death confirmation. No formal finding. No information that would allow them to take their next step. Just two words: ongoing investigation. After days of waiting with no body, no answers, and no meaningful communication from the man who was the last person known to have contact with their daughter. That last point is one that has not been fully addressed until now. According to the Tanzania police force announcement, McCann told authorities that after being relocated to the separate villa on the night of April 8th, he later returned to check on Ashlee, accompanied by a security guard. That is the version of events McCann gave to investigators. It is the only account he has provided to any authority. It has not been corroborated by independent witness testimony. The security guard's account, if one was taken, has not been made public, and McCann has not repeated or expanded on this account in any public forum. Everything the public knows about what McCann told investigators comes from what Tanzanian police chose to disclose at their press conference. The full record of his questioning, Every question asked, every answer given, remains inside the investigation and has not been released. This matters because the formal autopsy report and McCann's police questioning record are two separate documents that the investigation is built around. One establishes what the physical evidence shows. The other establishes what the only person present has claimed. If those two documents contradict each other in any material way, the direction of this investigation changes. Ashlee's sister, Alyssa Endres, spoke publicly in the days following the news. She told reporters that her sister was a positive person and that what the police were describing was, in her words, extremely out of character. She said, "She was beautiful inside and out, and everyone who knew her knew that. All she could bring was life to everyone." That statement, from someone inside the family who knew Ashlee personally, adds to a consistent picture built by every person who has spoken on record about her character. Not one person who knew her has described her as someone whose behavior in the days before her death pointed toward what the official ruling concluded. As of the recording of this documentary, here is what remains confirmed and unresolved. McCann's account of returning to the villa with a security guard has not been independently verified. The full record of his police questioning has not been released. No charges have been filed against anyone. The formal autopsy results have not been shared with the family or the public. The resort surveillance footage has not been released. Ashlee's body had not been released to her family by Tanzanian authorities, meaning she could not yet be brought home. And McCann has made no public statement of any kind beyond what he reportedly told police. Yolanda Endres told CBS News simply, "We need to know. We just need to know. And we need to get her home." Harry Robinson told 6 ABC Philadelphia, "No one wants to talk to us. Just let us know what happened. That's the only thing we want to know, the truth." He also said this, and it needs to be stated plainly as this documentary closes, "I'm never going to give up. 3 bodies of evidence currently exist that the public has not seen. The formal forensic autopsy report, the full record of what Joe McCann told investigators during questioning, and the surveillance footage recorded by the Zuri Zanzibar Resort across the hours of April 8th and 9th. Any one of those 3 documents made public changes this case. All 3 of them together either confirm the official conclusion or build the foundation for something else entirely. Ashlee Jenae Robinson was born on April 5th, 1995 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She turned 31 on the same day she got engaged. 5 days later, she was gone. She was the oldest of 6 children. She built a following of over 120,000 people by showing what an intentional life looks like. Not a perfect one, a real one. Her last caption said she was exactly where she needed to be. Her mother kept talking. Her father kept moving. Her sister spoke for the family publicly when the grief was still raw. Her friend Savannah Britt made sure the world did not look away in the first hours. And over 120,000 strangers who followed her life are now following this investigation for the same reason her family is, because the official version of what happened does not match the woman they knew. The truth is in side documents that have not yet been open to the public. When that changes, this case changes with it. If you believe Ashlee's story deserves answers, share this video right now. Her family is still fighting. This investigation is still open. Subscribe to Fatal Vows. We are not stepping away from this case until the full truth is on